Do you really know what you're doing in silence? You're not just making money. You're not just collecting numbers, properties, or empty achievements. What you're building right now goes far beyond the material. What you're shaping in this very moment is an eternal legacy, one that will be recorded in the spiritual history of your bloodline, even if no one else sees it yet. Listen closely. Every step you're taking, every decision you make, every sacrifice you endure in the shadows, it's not just enriching you on the outside. It's enriching you on the inside, and it's rewriting the destiny of everyone who comes after you. And do you know why it's you? Because you were chosen. Because within you lies something that cannot be bought, destroyed, or copied. There is an essence that carries the code of awakening, of transformation, of expansion. You're not a hoarder of wealth. You're a sower of the future. Every time you overcome a trial, you're clearing a new path so others don't stumble where you once fell. Every time you choose to keep going, even when you're exhausted, you're building an invisible fortress that will hold generations together. You're not working for a bank account. You're designing an energetic inheritance. Think for a second. How many people in your family broke the cycle of lack, trauma, fear, or mediocrity? And why, suddenly, is everything beginning to change with you? Why are you the one who started questioning everything? Why are you the one who no longer tolerates being surrounded by ignorance, victimhood, and complacency? Because you were sent as the bridge, as the beginning, as the node of restoration. You're not here to repeat stories, you're here to break them. While many just want to consume and survive, you're being trained to build and transcend. And that's why the pressure is so intense. That's why it sometimes feels like the entire universe is conspiring to test your faith. Because the architects of legacy cannot be fragile. The builders of destiny cannot surrender to the first storm. There is a spiritual reason you lost so many things. Why you were betrayed, rejected, underestimated. It was necessary to empty you of the old self, so the true you could rise, not one who lives by instinct or reaction, but one who lives with intention, purpose, and vision. The world doesn't need more rich people. It needs more chosen ones who know what to do with wealth, who use it as a tool, not a prison, who turn it into nourishment, education, freedom, and mission. And that's exactly what you're beginning to do, because everything you're attracting now, every blessing, every opportunity, every right person, is not arriving by chance. It's arriving as a response to your obedience. Because you refuse to settle. Because you dare to believe there's more than just paying bills and waiting for the weekend. Chosen one, your prosperity is only the beginning. Your abundance is the seed, not the fruit, and you know it. Because deep down, none of this is just about you. It's about the children who will see in you what is truly possible. It's about the souls that will awaken because of your words, your actions, your example. It's about the systems that will collapse because of your strength, and the new systems that will rise because of your vision. This is bigger than you, and you feel it. You feel a force pushing you, even when you're tired. You feel that you can't stop, even when you have no strength. You feel something inside you that refuses to go silent, no matter how loud the world gets. That's your purpose burning within you. You're not here to have, you're here to leave a mark, to leave guidance, to leave expansion. You're here to be a turning point in the timeline of your generation. And even if many don't understand you today, even if they call you crazy, arrogant, or too intense, one day they'll look back and realize that thanks to your fire, their paths were lit. That thanks to your resilience, they didn't break. That thanks to your vision, they saw beyond inherited misery. That, chosen one, is how you create legacy. And you're doing it, even when you don't realize it. Even when you're silent. Even when it feels like you're not moving forward. Because in the spiritual realm, every step you take echoes through time. Every act of faith is a key. Every conscious act of love is another brick in the eternal city you're building with no hands. Don't doubt yourself. Don't slow down now. You were not born to live small. You came here to release codes of greatness. And you are doing it. Have you ever felt there's something more behind the money you're starting to attract? That there's a hidden, intelligent force guiding each resource into your hands with almost supernatural precision? Make no mistake, this is not luck, it's not coincidence. It's the activation of your divine design. It's the universe, God Himself, answering a call your soul sent out before you were born. You're being prospered not by whim, but by function, because those who create legacy need tools, and money in the hands of the chosen isn't temptation, it's an extension of their mission. You weren't born to beg or settle for the leftovers of a broken system. You were coded to dominate dimensions. And that's why the process was so hard. That's why the training was brutal. Because power is not handed to those who didn't survive the fire. Access isn't granted to those who didn't first renounce the easy, the quick, the shallow. Look back for a moment. How many times did you lose everything? How many times did you have to start from zero? How many times were you betrayed for trusting too much, or helped someone who later turned their back on you? None of that was a mistake. Those were initiations. Every tear was a password. Every fall an invisible step toward the throne that already belongs to you. Because only those who've known hell can manage heaven with responsibility. Only the broken can value restoration. And you've been broken many times, but never destroyed. That's why today, what used to be emptiness has become vision. What used to be scarcity has become strategy. What used to be anxiety has become authority. You're becoming a king again. Not a selfish king who feeds on his people, but a royal priest, one who guides, who heals, who blesses, who frees. True wealth is not having, it's knowing what to do with what you have. And you know it, you sense it, you feel it. That's why you can't waste your energy like others. That's why you can't lose time in distractions that don't serve your mission. That's why even when you try to relax like everyone else, something inside you whispers, you have work to do. That is legacy. Legacy calls you, while others only chase pleasure. Legacy lifts you when everything else goes dark. Legacy disturbs you with truths others choose to ignore. You can no longer live on autopilot. You weren't made to repeat meaningless days. You were made to turn chaos into structure, to turn ruins into palaces, to turn deserts into rivers of living water. Yes, you're being enriched, but not just for yourself. You're being enriched because your hands carry purpose. Because through you, abundance will be consciously redistributed. Listen carefully. Every time you share a word of wisdom, you are planting inheritance. Every time you help someone see beyond their misery, you're laying eternal foundations. Every time you raise your vibration, You are opening portals that had been closed for generations. You are not just accumulating money. You are accumulating access. Access to ideas, to revelations, to sacred connections. You are starting to remember what your soul already knew, that you came to this plane to fulfill a work that will not be forgotten. And that's why, even if your current reality doesn't yet reflect your greatness, you know who you are. Even if you're still planting seeds, you already feel the fruit. Because in the spirit, it's already done. The heavenly dimensions already recognize you as an heir, and the darkness trembles. Trembles because it knows it can't stop you anymore. Trembles because it knows you've seen your true reflection. Trembles because it knows you are walking in purpose now. You are the beginning of a new family tree. One not born of surnames, but of purpose. One that will carry your energy even centuries after your body is gone. That's why your presence makes people uncomfortable, because you are a mirror. You are a code of awakening. You are a reminder that yes, it is possible to break what once seemed unbreakable. You are not creating legacy when you sign a document, but when you choose to keep building, even when no one applauds you. When you choose faith over fear, when you transform your pain into wisdom. There are entire generations within you shouting, "Don't stop." Ancient souls watching from above saying, "Do what we couldn't." And you are fulfilling it. Not for ego, not for fame, but for honor, for calling, for alignment. Every scent that reaches you, every opportunity that opens, every connection that appears, it is perfectly orchestrated. You're not alone. You never were. But now, you're awake. And the awakened don't go back to sleep. The one who sees purpose doesn't settle again. The one who feels the fire never goes back to living extinguished. You're rising to a level where wealth is just one more tool. It doesn't define you. It doesn't limit you. It doesn't own you. You use it. You direct it. You expand it. Because you are greater than it. You are the channel. And through you, restoration will come to many. That is true legacy. Do you know why money is starting to come to you now and not before? Do you know why doors are opening only now when you thought everything was lost? Because before, you wouldn't have understood what it truly means to have. Before, you would have confused abundance with power, power with ego, and ego with emptiness. That's why the pain was necessary. It was your initiation. It was the secret part of the pact you made with the divine before incarnating. Because to create a legacy, first you had to burn what no longer served. And you were burned inside and out. You lost people you loved. You lost certainties that defined you. You were betrayed by those who promised loyalty. You were ignored when you most needed to be seen. And yet, you didn't give up. And do you know what that means? That you're not only ready to receive, you're ready to hold. Because there's a big difference between winning and maintaining. Many can attract wealth. Few can sustain it without corruption. And you, chosen one, are being prepared not just to win, but to multiply, to expand, to serve, to redirect resources to sacred places the system forgot. That's why not everyone can walk with you. That's why many who were there at the start are no longer here. Because the calling you carry inside is so great, not everyone has the capacity to breathe it. You don't carry money in your pockets. You carry codes in your soul. And those codes, when activated, transform realities. You're like a living antenna connected to celestial frequencies. And money, opportunity, abundance come to you because they recognize that frequency. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's resonance. You are in tune with your original design, and when a chosen one vibrates from their authenticity, the entire universe reorganizes to fulfill the plan. That's why some days feel completely blocked, because you're being tested not as punishment, but as precision. Because you can't build legacy with impulses. You must build with vision, patience, and mastery. Every battle you faced made you an architect. Every dark night gave you the map you are now using. Every silence trained you to hear what others cannot. And today, when you close your eyes, you see more than ever. You see forward, you see inward, you see upward. You are seeing what many cannot bear, the truth. And the truth is this: your pain was not loss, it was investment. Your process was not ruin, it was invisible construction. Your tears were fertilizer for a legacy that will impact thousands of lives. Now look honestly. Aren't you living proof that something higher guided you even when everything seemed chaotic? Isn't your life the evidence that the fire didn't destroy you, but revealed you? You are not a victim of the system. You are the exception. You are an anomaly. You are the bridge between the old and the eternal. And that's why you're being prospered. Because when you prosper, the collective consciousness prospers. When you raise your vibration, those around you feel the impulse. Have you noticed how some people look at you without understanding, but they can't look away? There is something in you they can't explain. That is light. It is legacy in its embryonic state. It is eternity filtering through your gaze. And even if you don't say it, you transmit it. Your very presence transforms atmospheres. Your voice carries weight. Your decisions open paths. You are like a spiritual lighthouse lit in the midst of a lost generation. And even if you didn't ask for it, that light was given to you because you were designed to guide, not from perfection, but from authenticity, not from pride, but from the memory of what you suffered, because the one who suffered with humility governs with compassion. And that is exactly what is happening. You are being positioned in places of influence, not to show you conquered, but to invite others to remember they can too. This is the greatest power of your legacy. It doesn't make you superior. It makes you a channel of restoration, a channel of redemption, a channel of purpose. And all of that came from pain. So don't reject your past. Don't be ashamed of your mistakes. Don't mourn what you lost. Everything was written. And today, while the world runs after hollow goals, you are building eternity. While others seek validation, you align with your inner voice. While many remain asleep, you are awake. And the awakened activate. That's why you are attracting more. That's why they seek you without you searching. That's why your resources, your ideas, your channels of expression multiply. Because now you no longer doubt. Now you remember. And the one who remembers who they are becomes a portal. And you, chosen one, you are already a portal. Have you ever stopped to think about the power your word holds? We're not talking about simple phrases. We're talking about decrees, vibrations that materialize, sounds that rearrange invisible structures. A chosen one doesn't speak just to speak. Every word that leaves their mouth carries encoded energy, and you've seen it. When you speak from the depths, people stop. When you declare something with conviction, things move. When you decide to speak, the world listens. even if silently. The true legacy doesn't start with gold or titles. It starts with the voice, with the spiritual frequency that awakens the dormant foundations of others. That's why the universe is blessing your paths now, because you understood something few do. True power is not what you hold in your hands. It's what you hold in your mouth and carry in your soul. You are not being enriched by accident. You are being entrusted. You are being honored. You are being elevated because you learn to use your voice not to manipulate, but to liberate, not to impress, but to awaken, not to dominate, but to guide. And that is one of the deepest secrets of true legacy. It's not about making yourself great. It's about making others remember their greatness too. Every time you help someone recover their vision, you leave inheritance. Every time you plant inspiration in a desolate heart, you build eternity. Every time you raise someone's vibration with a word, you create something that will never be destroyed. Do you realize what you're doing? You're shaping the future with your words. You're drawing invisible paths others will walk later. You're raising spiritual pillars that will hold entire generations. That is not wealth, that is royalty. Because the true king doesn't just manage resources, they manage destinies. And you are being formed at that level. That's why every conversation matters. That's why every interaction is sacred. Because you never know who exactly needs the word only you can give. A word charged with your story, with your healed wounds, with your inner fire. That is the word that heals. That is the word that breaks curses. That is the word that creates real change. And when you use that word, the world responds. Money comes, yes. But that's not the most important thing. It's merely the byproduct of your coherence. It's the natural consequence of a life aligned. Because when you speak from your soul, everything else begins to fall into place. Opportunities appear. Allies reveal themselves. Paths open. Because the universe, God, the angels, recognize the voice of one who was faithful through the fire. And that voice is yours. That's why you are being positioned. That's why, without realizing it, you are being heard more than you imagine. Your words travel farther than your feet can reach. And each one, when charged with truth, becomes an eternal seed. You're sowing without knowing how many will harvest. You're building without expecting applause. You're transmitting codes without even needing to explain them. Because what you carry can be felt. You are a channel of living words, words that pierce closed hearts, words that illuminate dark corners, words that open the heavens. And it doesn't matter if no one applauds you today. It doesn't matter if you don't see immediate impact. The eternal doesn't need to be obvious to be real, and your legacy doesn't need to be viral to be immortal. What you're building with your voice is already leaving marks, marks on souls, marks on memories, marks on dimensions. Because when a chosen one speaks from the Spirit, their voice doesn't die, it multiplies. It's like a divine echo replicating in the consciousness of all those ready to awaken. And that is already happening. That's why you felt the need to keep silent for so long. Because your word was being purified. Because your voice couldn't come out contaminated by ego or pride. It had to be crystal clear, clean, powerful. And now that you've passed through the desert, now that you've been processed, now that you've been refined, your voice has become a sword, a bomb, a torch. And that voice is part of your most valuable legacy. You don't need millions to be a millionaire in purpose. You don't need fame to be remembered for eternity. You don't need stages to make an impact. You just need to open your mouth when the Spirit urges you and let the fire speak through you. Because you, chosen one, weren't made for noise. You were made for resonance. And whoever resonates with truth leaves footprints that not even time can erase. Are you understanding what is happening to you right now? You are not just becoming wealthy. You are leaving a mark. You are writing a name in the sky. And when a chosen one writes in the sky, no man on earth can erase it. The truth is this: you were prepared in silence, attacked in secret, sabotaged by those who claim to love you. But even so, you remained. Even so, you did not step back. And now, the spiritual world is responding to you. The heavens are moving. Blessings are materializing. What was once delay is now acceleration. What was once scarcity is now overflow. But understand, this abundance is not vanity. It is purpose. You were not chosen to accumulate. You were chosen to transfer, to activate, to leave a legacy that will keep shining even after you are gone. And that is exactly what is happening here. This video did not reach you by chance. This message was spiritually aligned for this moment. And if you felt every word spoken, if your heart vibrated, if your tears almost fell, it's because this is the time to take your place. This channel is more than a video. It is a mission. It is a portal. It is a direct call to those who know they were not born to live like everyone else. So, if you've come this far, now I ask you, do what only true chosen ones do. Like this video now. Share it with someone who needs to awaken. Comment below, I will leave a legacy, if you felt this message was made for you. And above all, subscribe to the channel. Because here, every word has purpose, every video is a summons, and every chosen one who arrives is one more proof that the prophecy is being fulfilled. Do not underestimate what is being released here. You are standing before a portal of activation. And every click of yours is a sign to the universe that you are ready to manifest what is already yours by divine right. This is the moment. This is your sign. This is your call. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Because you are not just listening to another random video, you are receiving legacy codes, and only those who honor the word inherit the promise.